I had heard about Synanon on the streets of Los Angeles from other addicts, and I had been searching for some solution, I suppose, to my problem. I heard about Synanon. Of course, I didn't believe it. And one day I mustered up enough courage to walk in the place. That was in 1959, and I've been there ever since.
I was casually acquainted with Synanon for a very short time. As a resident of Westport, I had attended one of their open houses on Saturday night and had been tremendously impressed with what Synanon was doing for dope addiction.
Well, a whole lifetime of crime, delinquency when I was a minor, and about 37 years of addiction, and all humiliation and degradation that goes hand in hand with addiction. That's the way my life has been before coming to Synanon.
I had 19 years of addiction, and I'm originally from New York. When I came to Synanon, there was no Westport Synanon House. I went directly to California. I had tried just about every therapeutic means that I could have availed myself of, and nothing seemed to work. I got a lot of answers to why I was using drugs, but I had to leave my therapist's office, and I didn't have the environment in which I could act out differently.
In the greater New York area especially, we're usually contacted by parents, our friends, our clergymen, our judges, parole, probation officers. They simply call, maybe sometimes the addict himself or herself. They simply call and we set up an appointment. And they come and we interview them. The parents usually come with the addict. We like this so the parents can also understand the program.
Westport is primarily an intake station. We have a few of the older members that are sticking around and kind of staffing the house. But as far as the people coming in brand new, they may stay anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks, and then they go on to a facility in California. Well, it becomes more than a job, far more than a job, because you become dedicated to the work. And there's somewhere inside your own skin, you get the feeling, well, what better people to take care of this problem than I, who am an addict, and can deal with it and can help other addicts. And it becomes a whole way of life. I think my problem was I didn't know how to live, and here I found the solution. just learning that I didn't have to be afraid to interact with other people.
My name is Gene Alberico. I'm from the Hartford area of Connecticut. I've been here at Synanon House in Westport for 3 months now. Prior to my coming to Synanon, I had a history of 7 years of addiction. Of these 7 years, I had spent approximately 2 years in penal institutions and hospitals. I never thought it possible that a drug addict could be cured. I was impressed by the physical layout, but I was very cynical. I'd never seen a clean drug addict, and I didn't believe that these people were drug addicts or that they could help me. It's amazing. It's an amazing comparison. The whole setup here, I'm fascinated by it. For the first time in my life, I can see that I can be helped, that something can be done. It's the whole thing of the basic assumption that the addict is an emotional child. And we're treated as emotional children here. And it's a growing up process more than anything else. And this process has been found to be most effective. We work together, we live together. We do the things a family should do. We console each other on each other's problems. It's a real family situation. Well, I've been engaged in all sorts of activities here in the house. I've worked on the service crew, which is what we're doing right now, cleaning up the yard and keeping the house in order. I've worked in the kitchen, washing dishes, preparing food. I've worked on our hustling crew, which we go out into the community and we get donations of food and services for our house. Eventually, I'll be sent to one of our facilities on the West Coast, either Santa Monica, San Diego, or San Francisco. We have greater activities out there, which aren't possible here because this is more or less a receiving center.
I guess there are as many reasons for Synanon's success as there are people in Synanon, because, of course, it takes every one of us. Synanon, first of all, concerns itself with the solution rather than, as has been so futilely done in all past and other present methods, the problem itself. In other words, we're concerned with what happens to the person from here on in. And we address ourselves to the task of helping him grow up, to learn to live and produce as an honest, creative, and self-aware and responsible adult. For one thing, there is no we-they situation here. There's no patient or staff. The minute a person comes into Synanon, he becomes a member of the staff. He goes to work for the Synanon Foundation and for himself. A small s Synanon is an arena where people can confront each other and themselves in an atmosphere of complete subjective honesty. It's a way in which they can begin relating to each other emotionally, begin showing and expressing their feelings, begin working through some of the unrealistic ideas and attitudes that they have, which heretofore have never been expressed either privately or publicly, and therefore are have never been given the opportunity to really be refuted.
One of our employees here at Stratford Town Fair was apprehended during the night on an early shift when he was caught stealing a number of albums, phonograph records. This boy of 21 was arrested and indicted for petty larceny, and then he was released on bail. It was a few weeks later that this lad came into my office and asked me to help him in this matter of with the law. In the course of our conversation, he told me that he had been a dope addict. He was a dope addict and had been a dope addict for a number of years. It was then that myself and a priest and a rabbi got together, and we succeeded in getting the boy a suspended sentence, and he went into Synanon. It is now 1 year later, and this boy is a totally different man. I say he was a boy then. Today he is a man. He's being trained as an assistant director of Synanon House, and the difference to me is just amazing, as it is to everyone else, including his family.
My relationship to Synanon is I think, a constantly changing one. When I came into Synanon, I was hooked on drugs. I had been using drugs for about 8 years. I came into Synanon a totally helpless person in terms of making it in the greater society. Although I had had held jobs and had responsibility with various companies. Nevertheless, I had not been able to function without the use of drugs. So I came into Synanon totally dependent on it. And as I went through the Synanon program, I guess you would say that I began to be more and more self-reliant is a term that we use in Synanon. I began to become more independent so that my need for Synanon changed. And I would say that I've reached a point now where Synanon is something that I'm very interested in, I'm very active in much the same way that any person is very interested in his own, let's say, private charity or activity or something of that sort. And then the obvious thing is also that I'm very qualified to work in this particular area. As you know, Synanon is a very poor organization. We can't go out and just pick out any property we want and spend all the money that might be required to get it. So I was looking for what you might call white elephant properties. And I came across this property here in Westport, which had been a very wealthy man's home here in the Westport area. But its property value had gone down a great deal because of the superhighway that came in just a few blocks away from the house. As a matter of fact, you might be able to hear the traffic going by right now. These are semi-trucks rolling by on their way between New York and Boston. And naturally, no one wants to spend a lot of money to live in a house that has this kind of noise so nearby. So it simply looked as if this could be a very good spot for Synanon to get a start, and we went into negotiations with the help of some local people here in the Westport area, and we obtained the house.
A program was given in our local high school presenting this wonderful thing that Synanon represents, and I was greatly impressed about the work that is being done and feeling very fortunate being a Westport community-minded person to find that we are having as one of our neighbors a place that could help back to health the most unfortunate people who up to now have never had any help. Oh, I have no doubt about it. I would say there are still people who have a great deal of reservation. There will always be people who are afraid of new things, who are afraid of disease, who are afraid of an area of human suffering that is associated with crime. But I believe that the Westporters know by now that these people here have nothing to do with crime. They're going towards health, and they're going towards rebuilding a personality that is exemplary and that is a beautiful thing to behold. I think everybody who has visited here and has come in contact here feels this way, and naturally they speak and share this with their neighbors. I think it is a great challenge to help a cause that is new, that shows promise, that gives us the opportunity to give something of ourselves. It is our friendship, it is our love, it is our warmth. And the response is so immediate and so wonderful. I believe many people, I don't believe that I'm exceptional, many people feel gratified to be able to participate in something where their help is so much needed and so greatly responded to as here at Synanon.
This is a one-family zone that they are in. What it means is what we went up to the court to find out, and one of the things that the court decided was that what the use that's made of this house by the Synanon residents here is that they were a family. This was the net effect of the court's decision. I can't recall the exact language of Black's dictionary, but It is a very broad definition which doesn't require, for example, necessarily consanguinity. You don't have to be related by blood. It's the idea of living in a common household and sharing the burdens of making that household function. That's correct. And there were a couple of other precedents. There was a case, for example, of some priests out in Wisconsin who, I think it was 6 of them, shared a house, and the same issue arose, and out there the court found that they were in effect a family. 6 Catholic priests were a family. The case is being appealed by the town of Westport, and one of the things that the judge said was that, you know, that what a family was could have been more defined by the zoning rules of the town of Westport. If they had said, we mean by family people that are related by blood, well, then the court might well have found that the residents of Synanon were not a family. But the zoning regulations of Westport only say family. They don't define it further.
Everybody in Pelham Bay is for Synanon. We go tapping at their doors and they're willing to help us. I, 2 weeks ago, gave a card party. Just amongst my own friends, I raised $1,000. Just myself and another woman. And to whichever door I went to, nobody closed it in my face. They all helped me. It's just a little thing, but I feel so great that I did it. I feel wonderful. I never thought that Synanon would do so much for my son. It has given him a new life. In fact, it has given me and my husband a new life that I can put my head on my pillow and I could sleep nights saying, thank God that this miracle has happened here at Synanon. It's unbelievable until you come here and see it with your own eyes, what's going on.
Somebody once said our problem isn't that we can't find the right answers, it's that we ask the wrong questions. And I think that society, generally speaking, has been asking the wrong questions about drug addiction. They've been asking the questions of how does somebody become an addict. Synanon is concerned with the solution. We take people and we teach them how to live successfully. And we're concerned with enabling them to become something other than what they are. Well, first of all, drug addicts are not monsters. They are essentially people who are childish and immature and kind of stupid in their approach to life and themselves and other people. And I think it's time that society begin to deal and help the solution rather than the problem. Carl Sandburg kind of summed up one aspect of how we feel about people. He said it something like this: there's only one man in the world, and his name is all men. There's only one woman in the world, and her name is all woman. And there is only one child in the world, and the child's name is all children.